Hello and welcome, my name is Henning Steputis and I got the opportunity to take a look at a camera that I think is really awesome, and I wanted to share my thoughts and feelings about this camera. It is called the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema, and it is sort of, like the name suggests, a cinema grade camera that gives you the high dynamic range of a cinema camera in a pocket size form factor. And so I spent a week with it, and so I thought I'd give you my review impressions about it. So let's do that. So first of all is the build quality. I think the camera is really well built. It is made out of aluminum and plastic, and it feels generally good in the hand. It has sort of this soft touch plastic feel. Yes, it's not all aluminum because of price reasons. It's just $1,000 and most of the money probably gets spent on the sensor. So really good build quality, especially if since I come from my T2i, which is completely made out of plastic. So moving on, the interface. The interface, in my opinion, is really straightforward. This is like an Apple interface. It's simple, it's easy to use, it's got good visuals, it's like really well done, it's got good graphics. They continue to improve it over time with the firmware updates, which you can get via the Black included software. And so far they've added a bunch of features. For example, RAW capabilities, that the camera can shoot in RAW. That was added through an update. But while we're here, I'd like to address some things that I don't really like about the camera that I think fall under interface. First of all, the autofocus. It's kind of hit and miss. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So that's something to consider. You're probably going to really, fall back to manual focusing. It does give you the advantage of digitally zooming in, sort of, if you are in the recording menu and you press the OK button twice and it zooms in 2 times, so you can pull focus more easily. Other than that, yeah, well done software. So next up, image quality, and this is the big thing. This is kind of why you buy the camera, because of the image quality. It looks absolutely fantastic, especially in the film mode, and you can shoot up to 30 frames per second, like I said, and it just looks outstanding. It has so much dynamic range. It's a really flat image, but I personally I prefer that kind of flat image, even in like final result sort of films. I really like a flat image where you can see a lot of detail in the shadow, not that kind of high contrast thing. A lot of people disagree with me. That's just sort of like how I like the video, but you can always change it in post, which is something you have to consider, because if you're buying this camera, it looks like a consumer camera, but it's not. It's just, you need to do post-processing, grading, color correction, that sort of stuff with it. So I would, although it looks like a consumer camera, it's more sort of a pro-grade camera. And next on the list is audio quality. Let's put it this way, it's kind of terrible. Kind of. You always have this, yeah, it has 2 internal mics, which always have sort of a hissing noise on it. And you can't really monitor it. Maybe they added in software. Maybe it's already added in the future. I don't know when you're watching this. But as of right now, no monitoring whatsoever. And yeah, and the input, I don't know, it's kind of quiet. I haven't got it to work yet. I've heard from other people that it's not that good. So audio-wise, no, this is not really what you're looking for. Maybe go for an external recorder like a Zoom H1 or H4n. Those are really good and good value things. So yeah, audio is definitely something that's not a big part in this camera. And so the last point, the price to performance, or value, however you want to call it. It is, yeah, it's $1,000 for just the body. You get a battery pack and you get a charger and like European, American, and Asian wall plugs and that sort of stuff, and a manual. But that's about it. That's about all you get. And so what you need to buy is an SD card and at least a lens, because it does not use EF mounts. It uses a different mounting system. So you need lenses for that. I got a Lumix 14 to 140 millimeter, which has a pretty significant crop factor on it. So the 14 millimeter looks more like 35-ish if you're used to that from full frame. Or no, not from full frame, but like APS-C size sensors. So that's definitely something you have to consider, so the crop factor. But other than that, this lens is also pretty nice. It has image stabilization and all the kind of gimmicks, and it's really nicely made. Again, metal construction, that sort of stuff. It's around 700 euros, which, yeah, it's kind of expensive. So we're already at 1,700, plus we still gotta add an SD card. So yeah, it's more than just $1,000 to get started, definitely. Speaking of SD cards, you need really fast, really large ones, because you're basically stuck with recording either in ProRes or RAW, which are both pretty large file formats. I personally use ProRes because most of the time I'm editing on a Mac and they work pretty well with that. And yeah, so we got a 64 gig, I think Kingston or SanDisk, I don't really know. It's a pretty fast SD card, and it was, I think, around 100 euros. So 1,800. Yeah, that's about what you're looking at for the base configuration. If you want to have more battery life, because that's also something that I think is really poor in the camera, the battery life is not very good. So that's also something you have to consider: extra batteries, extra battery pack, and then it gets bigger, and I don't know. But for just general, just videoing, you probably get away with a battery or two if you're not using it too much. Yeah, it uses a proprietary 12 volt plug that I don't really like, because I would rather have it to be mini USB, but then again, most mini USBs can push 12 volts through. So yeah, that's kind of something you have to consider also, is the power plug. But other than that, price to performance, I have to say, it's okay. It's really good, because you get a really nice image. You don't get good audio, but yeah, if you're using a cinema grade camera and you're going to edit in post, you probably could use external audio anyways. So yeah, it's a good camera. It's for the price. It's really good. I really like the image, which is kind of like the big factor for me. The pure image quality, which is really good in my opinion. And yeah, I'll leave some sample footage for you up. It's ungraded, so, or you've probably already seen it in the picture segment, so you can get your own impressions of it, sort of, if you consider, if you want to. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I tried to keep this video kind of short, but I'm looking at like 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So yeah, but yeah, so good camera for the value. I really like it. Hope you find this video helped you out with your buying decision a little bit. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We'll try to get back to you and answer some questions, and probably I'll be uploading some more footage with it. It is not my own camera though. Unfortunately, I have to give it back at some point, but for the time being, this has been Henning, and thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day. Goodbye.